What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today is the release of Soren. We long waited for this guy. He was actually already teasered or trailered, I don't know, together with Alsa. We saw his skills there already. Now his rate up is live. You can find it in the Mystical House. As always, there he is, rate up for Soren. A bit of a special one this time. You get 8 copies when you summon him, making it essentially the same as going for an S tier. I think that is a pretty good way they did that. Actually, was a bit worried about it, so getting 8 copies at the same time, kinda nice. We already summoned him, we got him to Supreme Plus, we upgraded his weapon to +10, and we tested him in all the relevant game modes. Let's start off, while I talk, by showing you his Dream Realm performance in the background, because, to be honest, some people were hoping that he could do that, and I kind of already have to disappoint you guys. No. That is really not the Dream Realm guy. He's really more of a PvP hero. There he can perform well, but really in Dream Realm you will see the damage is just not there. Usually after the Thorin dies in this fight, he gets one shot by a King Croaker, which is not really that nice. He is a rogue. He deals physical damage. He has a 1-tile range, so he has to get pretty close to the enemy to hit them as a melee hero. I already talked with the stream chat about this, and a lot of people say he would have felt better or as a warrior or as a tank. And I think I kind of agree on that. In his playstyle, he really is positioned towards the front. He is more of this tank kind of hero. And of course, I also want to answer the question whether or not you want to summon this guy. And to give you the brief answer, probably he will not be the rate up hero you want to go for most players. And to give you even more details on this, I also recorded some PvP videos. We will watch that as well. We want to see the performance there, but first let's check out the Dream Realm damage that he did. And yeah, not too bad compared to the other heroes, but if you compare it to a real damage dealer like Odie, also not too much going on, sadly. So Dream Realm really not the place you want to put him. Neither are AFK stages, he's just too squishy for that. He often really dies. If you are over leveled, you can build like a tank team, make him work there. But in most of our fights that we did, really he didn't perform too well and is easily replaced by other heroes there. For PvP, we are kind of entering the area where he becomes interesting. This is like the area where you really want to use him. We tried with the Mauler comp. There are already some Mauler comps built to counter Eiron teams with CC immunity. He has an effect that basically strips him of CC, so that is fairly interesting. We can watch a fight here against Shrimp, against an Eiron comp, and in this fight you are going to see his performance. One thing to note is how he easily stripped off the first CC, the second CC not so much, and instantly starts combining well with Alsa. What you want to achieve is that he is able to hit enemies against the wall, because that will deal massive damage and it will stun them. And he can either hit like one of the walls you see on the battlefield, the outer rim of the arena, or terrain made by Alsa, or as the last option, you can also have him hit other enemies. That works out as well, deals massive damage, stuns them, and is one of his major damage mechanics. And you can see this team that I built here basically outlasting the enemy with Skalita and Damien shields. Worked fairly well and is a pretty interesting team. We can see it how it performs against a very, very strong team. We tried it against one of the top players on my server with multiple Paragon heroes and everything. Damage numbers again on this fight, by the way. You can see he's not like the flashy hero. You don't really see too much of his damage in the fight, which is a mechanic. It's basically damage reflect that he has. He has a damage reflect mechanic, which we are going to explore a little bit more towards the end of the video, where we go more into detail on his skills. But this isn't too flashy. You don't really see it. The enemy just loses HP. He regains HP. He has basic life steal. He has that implemented into his weapon, which is also the reason you see him regenerate a lot of HP. This is a fight that we lost, but we lost it against, you can see, Paragon 3 heroes and Paragon 2 heroes and everything. So very, very strong enemy team, but I still wanted to show it just to show against a strong team how this team can still outlast, how he's still doing fairly decent even though we are not able to punch through. Here you can see him regenerating HP all the time, not only from the Damien where he also gains haste, but also through his own HP restoration. His own HP restoration isn't too strong. If he loses a lot of HP at the same time, he will reduce that hit him there and start regenerating HP at a steady pace, which is fairly low. It's not like you get hit to a certain point and then instantly regain a lot of HP. But if he catches a little break and can take some time to regenerate his HP again, this can be quite powerful to just give him a second wind and bring him back into the battle. Here, of course, we lost, but still you can see Alpha as a fairly potent damage dealer. He nearly dealt the same damage. And he did fairly well in this situation, even against such strong heroes, tanking a lot. His HP restoration here, more than other heroes have there, but still not comparable with a real healer like Damien, of course. So it is a nice heal. It is not like the most insane heal that you will see. So let's start and look a bit at his skills. You could see in the fight that he was always at the front line. He was at the front line, fighting there, trying to get hit by enemies, reflecting that damage, retaliating, trying to hit enemies into walls. And a lot of people in my stream chat already said it is a bit weird for him to be a rogue. It is a bit weird for him to be a rogue because that is not the classic class that would at the front line. It is already more the class that is behind the front line. If you can look at the heroes that are also rogues, we find heroes like Sylvana, we find heroes like Vala in there, that just jump behind the enemy lines, that attack from the back, that attack from certain positions, to get a massive effect on the enemy lines by just disrupting their front line from the back, from the side, from whatever position they can enter. He has a bit of that ability in his ult, where he selects a tile, rushes there to swing his weapon. It feels a bit like a jump. He jumps basically a bit over the map, over some obstacles as well, to get an optimal swing to hit the enemies and hit them back into some terrain. This doesn't really work too well in all situations. I saw that fail a little bit sometimes, but usually this extra movement is quite nice. It is actually some of the most important parts of his skill set. If you have an Alsa in there, she tends to block off certain pathways. If he's then not able to move, certain enemies just might be locked away from him. With this movement, he's able to get behind enemy lines and actually still attack. So in that sense, that is quite nice. We have a 2.5 second stun here. We have some very minor buffs from ultimate power, so that is not really worth it to go for. The main combination that you want to take a look at, repel sweep and deflecting swing together with his supreme plus ability. So what basically happens is, I already talked about the damage reflection, and that is a combination of his deflecting swing together with his supreme plus ability. Soren reduces damage taken from a single attack that exceeds 10% of his max HP by 70%, is upgraded to 90% later, and resets the cooldown of repel sweep. And this effect can be triggered 7 minus 1 second, so skill power reduces the cooldown, which is fairly potent and something that we should keep an eye out, because that will be interesting once he gets mythic charms. The game actually recommends skill power mythic charms for him. And that is not for no reason, because we see it here 6 minus 1 seconds. The cooldown gets reduced to 3 seconds on this, so we have massive damage mitigation every 3 seconds from this skill, also resetting the cooldown on repel sweep. And repel sweep is a small version of this ult, doing a massive swing, hitting enemies around, hitting them into walls and stunning them. So again, we get stuns from this. He loses HP, that basically activates his damage reduction, and then activates repel sweep to stun enemies again. And if you stun enemies for 1.5 seconds, your cooldown is 3 seconds, you can in theory get quite the massive damage reduction on all of the hits that the enemy is able to do. So that is very, very interesting. Then I said, okay, he has some way to reflect damage. We get an increase to the knockback distance of 2 tiles, which of course means it's easier to hit enemies into walls if we can move them by 2 tiles instead of 1. And this extra, we deal extra damage equal to 50% of the block damage by deflecting swing. So that is 90% damage reduction, 50% gets thrown on the enemy. And that is a big part of our damage. So fairly nice. We take the hero focus for haste, that is alright. And on the weapon itself, which you want to check out. And one thing that I want to throw in, we have 2 Maulers here, which are both rogues, of course. Shaki is a bit of a front enemy as well. At least in his usual form. He also has kind of a jump to get towards the enemy, to leap towards the enemy. Seth really goes into the backline. Seth is really a hero that will appear just right in your enemy team and will do exactly this disruption I was talking about. So that just added to this. Regarding the weapon, how far do you want to upgrade this? So I have it +10, I don't regret that. The first upgrade of +5 is really, really nice, because usually this main skill, which grants him 60 haste and starts recovering HP and energy for 12 seconds, once his HP is below 60%, can only be triggered once. But this makes it able to be triggered multiple times a battle, every 25 seconds, and also removes the control effects. So the first hit that you take by an Eiron comp is actually pretty much mitigated here, because we remove the control, we start gaining energy, we start gaining HP, we gain a lot of haste, and this is very, very nice. So +5 at the minimum you want to go for that. +8 is interesting because through the upgrade we gain our life drain. And +8 will still give you a ton of stats, so upgrading to +8 is fairly good. If you're gonna go to +10, you get a decent increase to his haste, which is a 25 increase to the amount of haste that he usually has with his hero focus. Is a pretty good upgrade, just 2 levels more than +8, so I think that's still worth it. I wouldn't go +15 unless you really want to focus on him, because the increase to the HP that is regenerated, I still feel the HP increase is too minor, and most of his heal comes from his life drain. So it's decent, it's not too great, you get minor stat increases when you have him here, but the extra Fist Def, I am thinking about doing it, to be honest, because the extra Fist Def and Magic Def will help him, because even in comparison to some other heroes, his Fist Def and Magic Def, it's not bad, it's also not too great. For a tank it wouldn't be great, for Rogue it's alright. So that all being said, we also want to look at his seasonal skill, which is the normal one for rogues. Every assist or kill grants him some energy, some damage dealt. It is good. I kind of would have liked another one more, but we don't really get a choice on that. If he had the same one as Alsa with his energy regeneration after doing an ult, that would have been way better for him. Assists or kills are kind of limited, but still, it's quite decent. I like it. So that all being said, we talked a lot about this now. Should you summon this guy? Answer is no. Probably no. Unless your account pretty much looks like mine, you have all the important heroes, you have all the heroes you ever need for Dream Realm, you have all the heroes you want to have for PvP, you probably want to have an Eiron comp set already, you want to have your OD and everything for Dream Realm. Then you can summon him, because he's just like a very nice PvP unit for Mauler teams. If you run a Mauler team, I mean, he's a must-have, that's obvious. But for everybody else, he won't provide much for your AFK progress. He won't provide anything for your Dream Realm progress. He will be nice for PvP, but that is like really not giving you too much power for your account. So he's kind of secondary at that point. And one thing that my chat talked about, and that I want to also add in, there will of course be the point when he's added to the normal loot pool. In 20 days, 22 hours. And then we will have him in Oreo recruitment. And then is of course the question, where in the wish list is he? He's the Mauler A tier, so he's in competition with all of the other Mauler A tiers. So let me give you a bit of an order there that I personally feel like is appropriate to go for. The first most important hero you want to go for as a Mauler A tier is Odie, because he's the best Dream Realm damage dealer. After that, in my opinion, comes Coco. She will also help you in Dream Realm, she will help you in some AFK stages, she will help you in battle drills, she's very useful for a lot of bosses. On third position is Antandra, in my opinion. She's one of the best tanks in the game, is regularly used together with Odie to fight AFK stages, and is really the tankiest tank out there. I see him on fourth position fighting with Seth. Seth and him are both very viable PvP heroes. If you see Mauler teams, for example, built by Brownie or Barry, you will find Seth in there, because he is such a great hero. I think he fights for the fourth position with Seth. If you go for Soren as your fourth Mauler A tier, you're doing fine in my opinion. If you decide to go for Seth instead, that's okay as well. I I only see Kruger and Satrana behind him. Satrana sees no real use in the meta right now. Kruger got a bit of a nerf because debuffs are no longer that great. He's not really nerfed as a hero, so don't worry about that. But if seeing him as the 4th most important Mauler hero, there are heroes you want to prioritize first. So even once the rate up is finished, you will probably have other priorities to go through first before going for him. What would I rate him? Well, if we compare him to the heroes that we had in rate up before, I kind of see him as the worst of the 4. If we see Vala didn't really see too much use as well. I mean, like, you can argue that Vala is a bit worse, but Vala as a single hero is just so strong. While he's relying on other heroes to work, really. He wants to have Alsa with him. He wants to have maybe some other Mauler heroes to support him. Alone, I don't think he will work too well. So that being said, Florabelle is used in AFK stages. He has an actual use there. Alsa is really big damage, and you can use her for battle drills. You can put her there in the team. You can use her for PvP in a secondary team. So she has a lot of use. I would say from the 4, he is probably the worst. And it quite hurts me to say so, because he's such a nice hero. He has such a nice kit. He works well in many situations, and I can't wait to build a nice PvP team around him, make a video for that. And as strange as it sounds, I kind of want to upgrade him to Paragon, because Paragon is good for PvP, and I want to see him shine there, and I want to see some nice Mauler teams. Maybe I'll make a collab with Brownie Games there. That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Brownie Games making a ton of Mauler teams, making a nice collab with that. If you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. But that's about it for my first initial impressions on Soren. Let me know if you summoned him down in the comments below. And with that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.